Hi there, I'm Deanna, and I'm going to show you how I would edit this video. So I don't generally use cloning for this type of a edit, and what I would do is use layers. So first thing I would do is copy this layer to a new one, duplicate it, and you do that by, I use a PC, so I use Control J to duplicate the layer. You can see it's right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this panel right here to replace this panel here. And so what I'm going to do is I'll change that to 50% opacity, and I'll move it with the moving tool so you can see it right here. And what I want to do is I'm going to line up the window pane. You see how right about there it lines up. So we're going to have a little bit of an issue right here. Oops, sorry about that. So I'm trying to line up the door and the window pane. We're going to have a little bit of an issue right here because we have a knob on this panel, but on this one we don't. So now that I've lined it up, I'm going to change that opacity back to 100%. And what I want to do is I do want to use the clone stamp. I'm going to zoom in by pressing Control and the plus sign. So I do want to clone over this so that it's just one consistent panel, because the right side of the panel for each of these, if you scroll over here, you can see the right side of this panel, it doesn't have, or this panel, it doesn't have anything on this side. So we want to make it similar to this panel, plus we want to make it this side for the left side. Does that make sense? So let me just do the left side of this panel, and then we'll do the same procedure for this side, this part right here of the right side of the panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a layer mask by pressing this rectangle with a circle in the middle. And then I'm going to zoom out by pressing Control negative or Control minus. What I'm going to do here is invert this. So Control I inverts it. So now you have your normal picture back with the panel on it that we don't want, and this picture is overlaid with a mask. So if I change to the brush tool, and if you change the color to white, white will take away from this mask, which will reveal what's underneath it. So I'm going to zoom in again by Control plus sign. I'm going to move over this way. Control. So again, the left side of this panel, the underneath, what's hidden underneath is the correct data that we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my white brush. It's set at 100%. I'm probably going to move it down to about 60. It's 68%. White paint over the black mask will reveal what's underneath. So you could see right here, I think this method looks more realistic than cloning from the other parts, because cloning is a little bit harder to control. So this, you get used to it. I do it all the time with composites, and it's really easy to use. You just have to think about, envision what part you could use to recreate what you want to do. So all I'm doing is kind of painting over this. So you could see right here on the mask on the right side of your panel, layer 1, you could see the black is the mask and the white part is what I'm painting over right here. And actually, if you press the backslash, which is right under the backspace key on your keyboard, again, I use a PC, so I'm not sure what it would be on a Mac, but if you press that button, it will show you what the mask looks like. So let's back up a little bit. So you can see right now my mask is the red part, which represents the black part in the layer, and then the white part is what I've already painted over. So because I've inverted it, I'm basically showing the inversion of this mask. I have to change my paintbrush to white again, so you just kind of have to be careful when you use that. But you could see exactly where you're painting right here, and then you could see, oh, I actually might not need to use that little piece that I was talking about earlier. Oh, I do. So this right here is a problem because we don't want the doorknob, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it back, and I'm going to paint over this part because I don't want to, that part's fine. So let's look at it from the other view. I've already, I'm sorry, let me change this to white, and then so you could see that that had a little bit of pink left, and that means that it's kind of showing, see, like right here and right here there's a little tinge of pink. That means that it's not completely showing the whole picture that's underneath it. There's still a little bit of mask. So I'm going to press that backslash button again, so you could see here, if we hide this layer, this is what it looked like before, and this is after. So the only part that's an issue is that little piece of door handle, because obviously we don't need that piece, right? And we don't need the bolt part because that was already there, and that's fine. It's not affecting. So let's go to this part of the layer under the mask. We want to go there, and then we do want to clone a little bit. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger by, a little smaller by pressing the left bracket key. It is 2 keys over from the backslash button, and like 1 key down from the plus minus button on your keyboard if you're using a PC keyboard. I'm not sure what a Mac keyboard looks like. So what we want to do is we want to select an area that is clear, that's similar to what this area would be. So like right here would work. So we're going to press Alt and then just click with the left mouse button right there. So you're selecting what area you want it to clone. Make sure you're on the clone stamp right here, clone stamp tool. And then what you're going to do is, I have mine set to 38%. I'm going to zoom in a little bit by pressing the Control plus button, and I'm going to move over just a little bit so I can see this area and make it a little smaller. So what I want to do is just clone right over. See how it's going away right there? And it's going away ever so softly because I have it set to 38%. So the lighter you make your opacity here, the lighter the clone works. Right there. So if you don't like, like this has a little kind of like a box left over, I could reselect my area maybe above a little bit, and then just kind of like go over, you know what, let's do this a little bit higher. Okay, so that looks good to me. So now if we back up, you could see it's duplicating this area right here because I had copied and moved over, lined up. And so basically this is what it looks like before, and this is after. So what I could do now is I could either do Control Shift E, or I could go to Layers, Flatten Image, right there, and then you're done. Then it flattens the image over here, and there's no more layers, and you could just do a Control save it like usual, and voila. Thanks for watching. I'm Deanna from Memories by Deanna.